Rapid Film presents an American action thriller film called Plane. The movie opens with a pilot named Brodie Torrance rushing to catch his flight. He was forced to work on New Year's Eve after having an altercation with an intoxicated customer. Torrance receives a call from his daughter, who is worried that he won't make it in time for their New Year's celebration. He assures her that he will be there, but soon realizes that the flight will be facing bad weather. Upon reaching the aircraft, he learns that the flight officer had not yet arrived. He and the co-pilot, Dele, get to know each other as Dele shows him the bad weather situation. The flight officer eventually enters and informs them that they will be flying to Tokyo with 14 passengers. Torrance expresses his concern about the weather, but is told that it might clear by the time they reach. A flight attendant named Bonnie enters the deck and informs Torrance that he is needed in the jetway. There, he is met by police officers with a handcuffed person named Louis Gaspar, who is being extradited on charges of homicide. Torrance is concerned about the effect this will have on the passengers, but the police officer agrees to keep Gaspar away from them. Back in the aircraft, Torrance meets the other flight attendants, Isabel and Maria, and greets the passengers. Among the passengers are a short-tempered businessman named Sinclair and a couple who complain about the plane's condition. Torrance informs the passengers that the aircraft is safe and attempts to reassure them. There is another group of passengers, including Katie and Bree, a social media influencer. They are thrilled to be on the same flight as Knight and Gaspar, but they choose a different seat as instructed by Maria. Gaspar later notices them trying to take a picture and tells them not to. After everyone is settled and has fastened their seatbelts, Torrance gives a brief over the intercom followed by a Southwest Airlines joke and takes off the flight. The flight goes smoothly, with the flight attendants serving the passengers and the pilots talking about their families. However, things start to take a turn when they encounter a storm as expected. Torrance alerts the passengers to fasten their seatbelts and contact air traffic control, but receives no response. The plane is struck by lightning, shaking the whole aircraft and panicking the passengers. Torrance goes to the cabin to calm them down and sees a scene with passengers' belongings lying on the floor. He helps the attendants pick them up and tells everyone that it was just the weather. The plane is struck again, causing Torrance to lose his balance and hit his head. He takes over the flight and tries to find a way to get a signal, but they are unsuccessful. Knowing the battery will not last long, they make an impromptu decision to land the plane anywhere possible. Bonnie informs the passenger of the electrical malfunction and commands them to fasten their seatbelts and stay in their seats. The pilots do their best to find a place to land while the attendants try to keep themselves and the passengers in place. Officer Knight's phone falls from his hands and lands on the floor. The attendants panic about what he might do, but he decides to ignore their warnings and goes to pick it up. Isabella, as an attendant, tries to save him, but another strike shakes the plane and kills them both instantly. Bonnie warns everyone to stay in their seats, and after witnessing what happened to the officer, they do not dare to move again. In the cockpit, the pilots find a suitable place to land, but only have 3 minutes before the engines run out. With the clock ticking, they put all their effort into landing the plane. Just as the plane is about to crash, Torrance sees a road and turns the plane in its direction. With difficulty, the captain manages to make a successful landing through the forest. Everyone celebrates and realizes they might be on an island somewhere in the Philippines. The passengers are asked to evacuate immediately, and by dawn, everyone is off the plane, safe and relieved. The CEO of the airline sets a meeting about the missing Trailblazer 119. And Scarsdale, a former Special Forces officer, leads the rescue effort. Scarsdale calls out the flight officer for not letting Torrance take a different route. They learn that the plane's signal was last received in Manila but was soon disconnected. The officers discuss possible ways to find its location. Bonnie asks Torrance about Gaspar and hands him the keys to his handcuffs. Torrance and Dele go over a map trying to locate where they might have landed and find out it is Jolo Island. Dele informs Torrance that the island is ruled by heavily armed anti-militias who are known for killing and robbing. They avoid causing panic. Torrance decides to hide this information from the passengers and instead tells them they might have landed in the Philippines and that they will try to find a way to ask for help. He helps the passengers set up a tent outside. Sinclair protests against staying inside the plane due to the power cut and heat, but Torrance insists that it is not an option. The passengers agree with the Torrance and advise Sinclair to appreciate the pilot's actions. Torrance and Dele then attempt to restore power, but their efforts are in vain. Torrance goes inside the plane to wrap the dead bodies and checks Gaspar's bag, finding his gun. He changes into different shirt as Dele packs his bag with water as Torrance plans to go back for help with Gaspar. At the headquarters in New York, they are still searching for information with no luck. With the little information they have, Scarsdale uses his connections to help. The mercenary Black Ops are finally called in for the rescue mission. Torrance questions Gaspar about his intentions as he found a pocket knife in his belongings. However, Gaspar does not give any information. The chief of the anti-militia, Janmar, is informed about the plane landing near the mines but does not believe it to be the army as his spies did not give any such information. Torrance is now alone after Gaspar fled, and he reaches a warehouse where he makes a call to the airline, notifying them of the situation. However, the line gets cut before the person on the line can understand him. Torrance then calls his daughter, Daniela, and informs her of the situation. He tells her to pass on the information to the airline that they are on Jolo Island. Suddenly, Torrance gets attacked from behind, but he manages to knock the attacker down after struggling. He hears gunshots and prepares himself with his gun. Gaspar approaches and hands him a rifle. The duo then finds a camera with a video, learning that foreigners were robbed in that place before them. Worried that the same will happen to the passengers, they rush to the robbers' van to reach them. The passengers get thrown off by the gunshots when they hear the sound of the vehicles, but Torrance and Gaspar reach just in time as the robbers are taking over. The robbers force the passengers' list from Bonnie and ask for Torrance, but no one reveals his identity. A girl tries to escape and is shot, causing her boyfriend to cry for help, but he too is killed. The passengers are evacuated as Torrance tries to interfere and help, but Gaspar holds him back. Janmar orders his men to take everything from the passengers that could give them money. Torrance and Gaspar capture Janmar and force information out of him. They discover that they are headed to Dendule village but fail to get any further information. Torrance goes back inside the plane, locates the village on the map, and leaves a message for the rescue team after realizing that Dele has managed to fix the electric system. At the headquarters, Scarsdale hires mercenary Black Ops to go to the island after getting confirmation from Daniela. Torrance and Gaspar reach the village where the passengers are being held hostage. They gradually eliminate the robbers one by one and meet the other passengers, with only one man guarding them. The duo successfully frees the hostages and takes them to a bus to avoid alerting the rest of the robbers. Torrance goes to distract them, putting himself in danger. He greets the chief and acts as though he does not know him, but this ends up getting him hit. At that moment, the assigned team shoots the robbers, killing many of them. The team was able to reach the plane and catch up with the passengers thanks to Torrance's message. Janmar orders his remaining men to go to the plane. During the ride, Torrance learns that no rescue team will come until the next 24 hours. He agrees to help Shellback instead. When they reach the plane, Torrance asks everyone to trust him one last time and board the plane as it was their only chance to escape. The headquarters refuses to fly the plane, but Scarsdale supports Torrance, while the pilots and crew do everything they can inside the plane. Shellback and Gaspar are still fighting outside. Gasper finds the bag of money that mercenaries own while trying to reload his rifle. He leaves with the money while Shellback watches. Meanwhile, Johnmer and one of his men are still trying to stop them. Johnmer's men pick up an RGF to hit the plane, but Gasper kills him just in time to save it. Torrance sees the missile go off in a different direction and feels relieved, but Johnmer picks up the RGF and is ready to shoot the plane. He has his car parked in front of the plane, thinking it will stop it. However, Torrance had no plans to oblige and took off the plane right through the attackers with the help of the air traffic, which was finally connected via the rescue team. They found an airport nearby that was just reachable with the plane's remaining capacity. Torrance successfully landed the plane in a place where there were no more attackers. He was congratulated by the applause of the passengers. Finally, everyone got off the plane. The movie ended as Torrance got off the plane after them as a hero who saved many lives.